Hi everybody, welcome back. It's been a few weeks since I sat down to record a video, and I thought today was a good day to do it, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Um, but let me start by saying that this particular subject is one that I absolutely wanted to convey through this particular video series because it's been one of the most important topics for me in terms of my own um, personal transformation, which has been um, fundamental in my own healing and continued health. Uh, so before I say what it is, you may notice that I'm wearing a very sparkly shirt today. Uh, that is because it is January 1st, 2026. And what better time to wear a silver sequin sparkly shirt than on the beginning, the first brand new day of a brand new year? And so I'll start by wishing everyone a happy new year and a year filled with health, joy, and love. And in fact, the subject that I really want to speak about today is all about joy, which gave me even more reason to wear a super shiny, sparkly shirt uh, to do this. So, um, as I get into it, I'm gonna back up again, as I did in past videos, um, to the beginning uh, of the reason for me doing these videos, which was to convey to anyone going through a challenging diagnosis, uh, life challenge, um, that there is more to us than we usually think, and certainly more to us than we're most often told. And that more is the inner realm, which I talk about in every single video and which remains the title of this video series, Informed, the Matter of Spirit. And so um, I'm stepping back here now to 2017. Yep, to July 2017, when I first had a diagnosis of a glioblastoma, a brain tumor, a cancerous brain tumor, which did not have a great prognosis. And at the time, I remember um, having my surgery and then getting ready to leave the hospital. And just as I was about to leave the hospital, some well meaning person down the hall who had also undergone some surgery was shouting out encouragement to me. And what I recall him saying was, you need to do the keto diet. You need to do the keto diet." And I thought, "Oh, keto diet, register that, keto diet. What is, I don't even know what that meant or what that was or anything about it. But I knew it sounded really, really important, and it was going to save me. It was going to save me. So um, I'm not overemphasizing the point, because at that moment, having just come out of a brain surgery and having an uncertain future, uh, as we all do, I know, but in that moment it seemed even more uncertain. I was very sensitive to any advice that I was being given that gave me the sense that I could use it to participate in extending my life and um, being, becoming healthy. And so uh, I went home, and what followed over the next days and months and years, and truthfully, it continues to this day to a greater or larger extent, was this sense that there's always something more to do to make sure that I remain healthy. And so I'm calling this video um, Living from a Place of Joy and Not from a Place of Fear. And very timely, my nose is running. I've actually just come off a week of having a bit of a cold. Excuse me. How's that for vulnerability? Wiping my nose on air. And so when I came home and I thought about what am I going to do, it became clear to me that people, loving, well-meaning people, were so eager to send me advice about what I should and should not be doing. And so one often hears about sugar. Sugar, what I heard at the time was sugar causes cancer. And I became extremely fearful about eating any sugar because I thought, oh my God, if there's anything that I can do to prevent myself having cancer again, I have to do it. And I literally panicked about eating a banana. And I love eating my banana with my breakfast in the morning. But sure enough, it wasn't just eating sugar that was going to condemn me, but it was specifically the sugar in fruits. And I had to eat only any sugars that were coming from vegetables. And not only that, but the vegetables had to be raw. And not only could I not eat any fruits anymore, but bananas specifically were the killers. They were just the killers. And so here I was, feeling like Dorothy, spinning out of control in a tornado that was being propelled by all these things that were causing me to fear. Fear was my driving force in many, many things that I did. Alcohol was certainly a no-no. Not that I'm really a drinker, but even the thought of having a glass of alcohol during a special occasion, glass of wine, terrified me. And I want to start by saying now that all of those examples of fear, again, they came from well-intentioned people who had nothing but my best interest at heart. And so bless them for wanting to contribute. What I can say now is that when one begins to look for things to be afraid of that one should not do in a particular medical situation, there is no shortage of advice that the internet will give you to telling you what you absolutely should not do. And so, not only was I being told what not to eat, which vegetables not to eat, which fruits not to eat, but it was also suggested to me that I needed to take oxygen therapy. I needed to do oxygen tank therapies. I needed to travel to this part of the country and that part of the country to see this doctor or that doctor because they had a technique that was saving so many people and it's been undocumented. God bless him. I even had a friend with a loved one who was going through an illness, and with so much love, he suggested to me that I would be able to get my hands on some medication that was not yet made legal here where I am. And then that was the key. And the more that I heard about all of these things that I needed to do, the more driven into a state of panic I was because I knew that I couldn't possibly do them all. How could I? I would have to spend every waking second of my life and then some accomplishing all of these healthy things if I was going to live. And with time, because this took time, with time, I realized that that was an impossible journey. But moreover, the more I stayed um, magnetically pulled to the feeling that I had to do all these things to stay well, the less I was enjoying my living. And um, and I say it took time because this was not an overnight process. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, there are still lingering parts of that experience that are with me today. So, for example, um, this week has been holiday week. It's been the week of Christmas and Hanukkah and many festivals of light around the world. And um, and this week, I exceptionally treated myself to 2 pieces of Christmas cake, one night after the other. And although I don't eat um, refined sugar on a regular basis, because that's one thing that I chose to do that just felt right, I thought, oh, you know what? I'm going to have some Christmas cake because that feels joyful. And um, over the last 8 or so years, I've come a long way in terms of recognizing when I'm making a decision that comes out of a place of fear versus when I make a decision that comes out of a place of joy. And for the most part, when I choose to have some cake, some birthday cake, a dessert on a special occasion with friends, or um, a glass of wine or something on a special occasion, it's because it feels like a celebration of life for me. It feels like a treat and a ritual participation in joyful living. And that really, I think, at least for me, um, is an important process in terms of alchemizing whatever we bring into our physical bodies. As Reverend Michael Beckwith puts it, our body temples. And just as um, just as people would transmute base metals into gold, I believe that bringing joy, bringing a state of love to how we ingest our life experiences, be it sugar or be it a decision to go out with a particular person, or a decision to stay at home and watch TV, if we can bring a sense of loving kindness and touching into what feels joyful in the moment, into our being, then whatever we engage in is alchemized into that healthful, joyful, living goodness. And I know I struggle here for the words because we don't necessarily have the vocabulary to convey everything I want to convey. But the goal of this video, again, was to say to any of you who are having a moment in your life where you are being bombarded by do nots, whatever you do, do not, whatever you do this. Accept it into your basket of things that are right for you if they feel right for you. It's so easy to get weighed down by other people's fears, because we all have fears. We're human beings. Fear is what has kept our species alive in a large part since time immemorial. If I didn't fear, that the ever famous example, if I didn't fear the saber-toothed tiger coming at me and wanting me for lunch, then I wouldn't have the adrenaline pumping through my veins to run and hide up in a tree. I guess that's what I would do, hide in a tree. I don't know. Although cats climb trees, so that might not be the best idea. Anyway, you get the point. But fear has its purpose, absolutely. Were it not for it, we would not know to not stick our fingers in electric sockets. That's something I remember learning quite clearly as a kid, that wasn't a good thing to do, or to touch hot stoves. You know what I mean. However, when we are in fear mode, our bodies come out of our parasympathetic mode. In other words, the mode that keeps us calm and regulated, um, into the sympathetic mode, which says, there's danger, 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 danger. Now, I think I'm getting those two right. I always confuse which one is sympathetic, which one is parasympathetic, but I think this time I had it right. Um, and if we're living in a state of fear, in other words, if every time I look at my bowl of bananas on the kitchen counter when I wake up in the morning and I think, danger, 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 my body is starting to release all kinds of chemicals that are telling my system that there's danger. In other words, I have a laboratory of stressful adrenaline running through me. And we know that stress is a foundation for the development of many illnesses. Um, I'm not going to say any of them because I'm not a medical doctor, but all you have to do is the smallest bit of research, and you'll find all kinds of things related to how stress is bad for our system. And I think we know this. And so as I began to navigate that understanding, I also began to have that confirmed with some of the heroes that I've spoken about in this video series. Anita Morjani, who had a very life-altering near-death experience. And one of her main messages when she came back from the other side, as she puts it, is to live fearlessly. And again, this is something that I'd spoken about in a past video. But for me, that resonated to live without doing anything that is causing myself fear. In other words, don't make my decisions about how I live based on my fear. On the contrary, choose to live my life from a place of joy. What brings me joy in this moment? Another link that I want to draw now, again, to one of my heroes, Carolyn Mace, is how when we invest our decisions and our choices in fear, and I'm borrowing some of her language to try to express what I want to express, we anchor our decisions in anchors of fear, and in those anchors go our energy. And if we think about ourselves first as energetic beings, in other words, our body, our physical body, being a result of the vibration of billions and trillions of molecules and atoms coming together at particular vibratory speeds, we know now through science, and not just the wisdom traditions, but we know now that everything material vibrates at a certain frequency, as do we. We are no exception. The difference between myself and the table is that I can choose my vibration as much as possible. I can choose the vibration of love, I can choose the vibration of joy, and I can choose the vibration of fear. And as I mentioned again in a past video, the beautiful work of Masura Emoto, I believe is his name, The Secret Life of Water is his book. When we send loving, kind, joyful thoughts, which are also energy, to water, the molecules within the water form beautiful crystalline, symmetrical shapes, as opposed to when we send negative, angry thought forms. Our thoughts are energy, or emotion. to the water, then those thoughts produce asymmetrical, ragged, jagged shapes of crystals within the water. So we are powerful. And what we choose to bring in to our own waters and express out matter. I'm paused here because it just occurred to me as I said it that really is the foundation for this entire series. What we bring in and what we express outward matters. The energy of our emotion, our emotion, our energy in motion, our thoughts, all of it, all of the invisible stuff, all of the stuff that our eyes can't see, matter. And that includes the joy that we can choose to live from. Now, I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit to my experience. I mentioned in 2022, I had been diagnosed with a recurrence. I had another surgery. For those of you who have been following the videos, you know that whole story by now. And there was a period just following in those few months following that second surgery, where there was a question in one of my MRIs as to whether there might be something else that was creeping into the X-rays. Was there more? Was there a regrowth? Was something happening? I'll say now, before I go any further, that it ended up being just a scar tissue. There was nothing there. Thank God. Thank God. Thank God. Thank God. But in that period where I wasn't sure, one of the most devastating things that happened to me was that I became so full of fear of losing my life that I lost track of my joy. I lost the sense of feeling joyful. And it was like having all of my blood drained from my body. If there was anything that I was determined to not do, was to lose my sense of gratitude for this blessing and this miracle, which is life. And so I made a decision at that point. Before I even knew that what had shown up on the scan was nothing to worry about, I decided that whatever time I had left was going to be a time that I chose to be joyful. Because what was the point of being here and wasting all of this precious time living in fear? Nuh-uh. No way. Not for this guy. That doesn't mean that there weren't moments of fear and panic and tears. Of course they were, because I'm human. But the joy was always there. I had to just reach for it. I had to just open to it. And it would appear, usually in the form of gratitude for being alive. And then that foundation of gratitude would color whatever else I was doing in the world. So I love to dance. I'm a huge dancer, have always been. These days, my preferred expression of dance is salsa dancing, which is also a great occasion to wear a sparkly sequin silver shirt, by the way. And for those of you who know me a little bit more personally, I can already hear you saying that, yeah, Jeff, he doesn't really need much of an excuse to wear a silver sequin shiny shirt. But hey, and that's true. Joy, 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 joy. I'm wearing it. So where I want to go with this is the awareness that I could make a decision in my life based on joy and not out of fear has extended to the way I live my life much more generally. So, for example, if I'm invited to go somewhere, but I don't really feel like doing that, or if I don't know, I feel like my work schedule um, has gotten too busy, and there's a part of me that feels like, oh, it's really good because I'm active and I'm working and I'm busy and I'm creating abundance in my life. If another quieter but strong voice inside of me says, you're too busy, you need to knock some things off your schedule, and because you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed, then I've learned to recognize that voice. I can hear it now. And I pray every day for the wisdom and the courage to follow the guidance that is directing me in that way. And so now, what I will often do is call up whoever I need to call up on my schedule and say, we need to move things around. And immediately, not only does the other person, does it not change their life so much as I thought it would in my own mind, my own monkey mind going, oh, but I can't cancel that because then they're going to be, they're going to think that I'm not able to provide them with that service, or that I'm not being responsible. Oh God, no. They're just like, okay, whatever, we'll do it next week. But I immediately feel relief. I feel space opening up inside. The breath comes, and all of a sudden I'm grateful for all of the space that I have in between the activities of my week that I really want to attend to, including, most importantly, attending to myself. So, or rather just intending, as I'm calling it now, my own intending. And is there anything else that I want to say here about this? For now, I think this is it. And so, what I'm going to leave you with today is a prayer for each and every one of us living individually and collectively as a species, interbeing with all other beings, that we should know joy in our hearts, that we should know love for ourselves and allow ourselves to mine the depths of our joy and allow that love and joy to extend into our relationship, first and foremost with our own selves, and then into our relationship with the world. And let that be my offering of a blessing as we move into a new year. Let all beings experience joy, love, and let that grow so that we all know peace, health, and well-being. Amen. Blessings.